The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, I want to take you on a journey through one of the most heart-wrenching and unforgettable novels I've ever read. The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini. This is a story about friendship, betrayal, guilt, and ultimately, redemption. It's a tale that will take you from the streets of Kabul to the far reaches of America. And it will leave a mark on your heart long after the last page is turned. So please, grab a cup of tea, settle in, and let's dive into the world of Amir and Hassan. The story begins in Kabul, Afghanistan, in the 1970s, a time of innocence before war would tear everything apart. Our narrator and protagonist is Amir, a young boy from a wealthy family who lives in a grand house with his father, Baba. Amir is thoughtful, sensitive, and somewhat timid, especially compared to the larger-than-life presence of Baba, who is strong, proud, and sometimes difficult to understand. But Amir's closest companion, his loyal friend and servant Hassan, balances him perfectly. Hassan is brave, gentle, and endlessly devoted to Amir, despite the rigid social hierarchy that separates them. Hassan is a Hazara, a marginalized ethnic minority, while Amir is a Pashtun, part of the dominant class. Despite these differences, the bond between them seems unbreakable. Hassan and Amir spend their days flying kites, reading stories, and exploring Kabul. Hassan has a fearless, almost magical quality. He can always retrieve the last cut kite in the famous kite fighting tournaments, earning him the nickname Hassan the Kite Runner. Amir admires him deeply, but at the same time, he wrestles with a subtle, uncomfortable sense of superiority because of his social status. Even as a child, Amir's need for his father's approval shapes much of his behavior, sometimes leading him to act selfishly. The pivotal moment of their childhood comes during one of Kabul's legendary kite tournaments. Amir is determined to win Baba's admiration by winning the tournament himself. After hours of flying, he finally succeeds in cutting the last kite, the ultimate prize in the competition. But victory comes at a terrible cost. Hassan, as always, runs to retrieve the kite for Amir, but he encounters a group of local bullies led by Asef, a violent and cruel boy who represents the darkest side of human nature. What happens next is devastating. Asef assaults Hassan while Amir hides, paralyzed by fear and indecision. Amir watches from a distance, unable to intervene. And this moment marks a turning point, not just in their friendship, but in the moral core of Amir's life. Amir's shame and guilt after this incident become his constant companions. Rather than confronting his cowardice, he distances himself from Hassan, finding excuses to feel resentment toward the boy he has always loved and admired. In a moment of ultimate betrayal, Amir plants a watch and some money under Hassan's mattress, framing him for theft. Baba, heartbroken and disappointed, forces Ali and Hassan to leave their home. Hassan, ever loyal and silent, departs without ever accusing Amir of the wrongdoing. This act of betrayal haunts Amir for years, shaping his conscience and defining his adult life. The novel then fast-forwards to the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, a turning point that forces Amir and Baba to flee their homeland. They endure a perilous journey through Pakistan and eventually settle in California. Baba struggles to adjust to life in America, working at a gas station and losing much of his previous prestige, but his love for Amir remains steadfast. The immigrant experience is portrayed with deep empathy. The sense of displacement, the longing for home, and the struggle to maintain dignity in a foreign land. In America, Amir grows into a young man, but the shadow of his betrayal lingers. He attends college, meets Soraya, a kind-hearted and intelligent woman, and eventually marries her. Despite building a seemingly successful life, Amir cannot escape the guilt that has defined him since that fateful kite tournament. His past, however, comes back in an unexpected form. A call from Rahim Khan, Baba's old friend, summoning him back to Pakistan with the words, "There is a way to be good again. This simple phrase becomes the novel's moral compass, a beacon guiding Amir toward redemption and courage. Returning to a changed, war-torn Afghanistan, Amir encounters the harsh realities of life under Taliban rule. The country he once knew, full of childhood laughter and kite-flying competitions, is now a place of fear, violence, and oppression. Through Rahim Khan, Amir learns that Hassan was not only loyal, but also carried a secret. He was Amir's half-brother, a revelation that reshapes Amir's understanding of family, love, and responsibility. Hassan had been murdered by the Taliban, leaving behind a son, Sohrab, who has endured unspeakable suffering. This revelation ignites Amir's need for redemption. He cannot undo the past, but he can act with courage in the present. Rescuing Sohrab from the Taliban becomes his personal quest, a journey fraught with danger, fear, and confrontation with the very embodiment of evil, Asif, who has become a Taliban official. In this climactic and emotionally charged sequence, Amir faces not only Asif, but also the remnants of his own cowardice, finally standing up to the injustice that he once allowed to happen. The fight is brutal, and Amir is physically and emotionally scarred. But it is through this struggle that he begins to heal and reclaim his conscience. After rescuing Sohrab, Amir confronts the harsh reality of trauma and the difficulties of healing. Sohrab is deeply withdrawn, silent, and wary of adults, reflecting the psychological scars left by abuse and violence. Amir's journey of redemption continues as he learns patience, understanding, and unconditional care. Through his bond with Sohrab, Amir begins to understand the meaning of forgiveness, not just seeking it from others, but forgiving himself for the mistakes of the past. The story comes full circle in the final scenes, where Amir flies a kite for Sohrab, echoing the innocence of his own childhood and the bond he once shared with Hassan. The act of kite flying becomes symbolic. It is a gesture of love, of reconciliation, and of hope. As the novel closes, there is no perfect ending, no erasure of past mistakes, but there is a profound sense of possibility, of moral repair, and of the enduring power of courage and human connection. Returning to Afghanistan, Amir is immediately confronted with a landscape of destruction and despair. The streets of Kabul, once vibrant with life and laughter, are now silent and scarred by the ravages of war and Taliban rule. The homes of his childhood have been destroyed or abandoned, and the people he once knew have either fled or suffered immeasurable loss. This stark contrast between the Kabul of his memories and the Kabul he sees now hits Amir with the full weight of nostalgia and sorrow. Every corner of the city carries a fragment of his past, but it is twisted and marred, reminding him that the world he once knew can never be fully reclaimed. Amir's journey through this devastated land is not just a physical one, it is deeply internal. He must confront not only the dangers of a country under the Taliban, but also the lingering shame of his own past. Rahim Khan guides him through these treacherous streets and eventually reveals the truth about Hassan, that he was not only Amir's loyal friend, but also his half-brother. This revelation is earth-shattering for Amir. It casts his childhood actions, especially the betrayal and framing of Hassan, in an even harsher light. The boy he abandoned, the one who loved him unconditionally, was family. Amir's guilt intensifies, but it also fuels his determination to seek redemption. Rahim Khan entrusts Amir with a nearly impossible task: to rescue Sohrab, Hassan's son, who has been trapped in an orphanage and later falls into the hands of the Taliban. Sohrab's suffering mirrors the trauma of a nation, innocent children caught in the crossfire of cruelty and neglect. The depth of Sohrab's pain strikes Amir profoundly. He sees in Sohrab the innocence that Hassan once represented, a reminder of a childhood lost and a life that could have been different. Amir knows that rescuing Sohrab is not just an act of heroism. It is his chance to finally confront the consequences of his past and begin to make amends. The confrontation with Asif, now a high-ranking Taliban official, is one of the most intense and harrowing parts of the story. Asif embodies evil, cruelty, and the unrepentant violence that has overtaken Afghanistan. The fight between Amir and Asif is brutal, both physically and emotionally. Amir is severely beaten, pushed to the brink of death, and yet it is through this extreme suffering that he begins to shed the layers of fear and cowardice that have haunted him for decades. In that moment, he finally stands up for Hassan's memory, for Sohrab, and ultimately for himself. It is a painful but transformative experience, one that cements the novel's message about courage and moral responsibility. After rescuing Sohrab, Amir faces another challenge, the delicate and fragile task of healing the boy's trauma. Sohrab is initially silent and withdrawn, his trust shattered by repeated abuse and abandonment. Amir struggles to reach him, learning through patience, consistency, and gentle care that love is not just given freely, but must be nurtured and proven through actions. He carries Sohrab back to Kabul, and then eventually to Pakistan, where the boy's wounds, though deep, can begin to heal in safety. This stage of the story emphasizes the long and often painful path of redemption. Amir cannot undo the past, but he can create a future where innocence and hope are restored, however slowly. The novel does not shy away from the complexities of forgiveness. Amir learns that redemption is not a single act, but a continuous process. His relationship with Sohrab develops slowly, filled with tension, tentative trust, and moments of breakthrough. There is a heartbreaking scene where Sohrab attempts suicide, showing the depth of his despair and the lingering scars of his trauma. This moment is a stark reminder that healing is never easy, and that the consequences of cruelty, both personal and societal, can echo for years. Amir's perseverance in caring for Sohrab is an acknowledgement that true courage involves patience, empathy, and enduring commitment to those we have wronged or those who have suffered. Finally, the story comes full circle in one of the most symbolic and emotional moments: kite flying. Amir takes Sohrab to a park and begins flying a kite for him, echoing the games he once played with Hassan. The act of kite running, once associated with betrayal and cowardice, now becomes a gesture of hope, reconciliation, and renewal. As Sohrab holds the spool and runs after the kite, Amir senses a fragile but profound connection forming between them. It is a moment of redemption, not only for Amir, but also for the memory of Hassan, a declaration that love, loyalty, and moral courage can survive even the deepest wounds. Through all of this, Khaled Hosseini teaches us that life is messy, painful, and filled with moral complexities. Guilt can weigh heavily, but redemption is always possible if we are willing to face our past and act with courage. The Kite Runner is a reminder that our choices matter, that love and loyalty are powerful forces, and that even in a world marred by cruelty and injustice, hope can endure. The story lingers in your mind because it does not offer easy resolutions. It is real, raw, and deeply human. So as we reflect on the journey of Amir and Sohrab, we realize that life is about confronting our mistakes, embracing responsibility, and never underestimating the power of compassion. The Kite Runner is more than a novel. It is a meditation on friendship, family, forgiveness, and the resilience of the human spirit. Every character, every choice, and every act of bravery or betrayal teaches us something about ourselves, reminding us that our past may shape us, but it does not have to define us. As we move toward the conclusion of The Kite Runner, the story shifts from the tension and terror of the past and present to the fragile hope of the future. Sohrab, the boy who has endured unimaginable suffering, begins to slowly emerge from his shell. His silence is not just a reflection of trauma, but also of the depth of betrayal and loss he has experienced. Yet through Amir's patient care, kindness, and consistent presence, Sohrab starts to feel a sense of safety for the first time in years. This delicate process of rebuilding trust is one of the most poignant parts of the novel. It shows that true healing cannot be rushed, but must grow from repeated acts of love and reassurance. Even as Amir tries to comfort Sohrab, the novel does not shy away from the painful realities of trauma. Sohrab's despair reaches a heartbreaking climax when he attempts to take his own life, reflecting the profound effects of abuse and abandonment. It is in these moments that Hosseini's storytelling strikes the deepest emotional chords. Readers are reminded that redemption is not a single act, but a journey, and that love alone cannot erase pain instantly. What it can do, however, is provide a path forward, a lifeline that allows broken spirits to begin to heal. Amir becomes that lifeline for Sohrab, and through caring for the boy, he begins to forgive himself for his past cowardice and betrayal. The novel's final scene is charged with symbolism and emotional resonance. Amir takes Sohrab to a park to fly a kite, echoing the games of his own childhood and the innocence of the bond he once shared with Hassan. This act, simple yet profound, represents redemption, hope, and the enduring power of love. As Amir runs the kite for Sohrab, shouting, "For you 1,000 times over," the reader sees the transformation of Amir's character, from a boy who once hid in fear to a man willing to stand up for what is right, and to love selflessly. The kite flying scene is not just a moment of joy, but a metaphor for life itself, fragile, beautiful, and requiring courage, trust, and care. Hosseini's novel leaves us with several deep life lessons. First, it teaches the importance of confronting our mistakes rather than hiding from them. Amir's journey shows that cowardice and betrayal leave lasting scars, but courage and accountability can lead to healing. Second, it emphasizes the power of loyalty and unconditional love. Hassan's unwavering devotion and Sohrab's eventual ability to trust Amir again illustrate how human connections can withstand immense suffering and betrayal. Third, the story reminds us that redemption is always possible, no matter how far we have fallen. Amir cannot undo the past, but by taking responsibility and acting with courage, he creates a future that honors those he once wronged. Moreover, the novel explores the idea that our past shapes us, but it does not define us entirely. Amir is haunted by his actions as a child, but he chooses to confront them and act differently as an adult. Similarly, Sohrab's early trauma threatens to define his life, yet through care and compassion, there is the possibility of hope and recovery. Hosseini's narrative illustrates the delicate balance between acknowledging the past and actively shaping the future, a lesson that resonates far beyond the pages of the book. Another powerful theme in The Kite Runner is the impact of social injustice and oppression. The ethnic tensions between Pashtuns and Hazaras, the devastating effects of the Taliban regime, and the plight of children caught in violence all remind readers that courage, empathy, and moral action are necessary, not just on a personal level, but in the broader context of society. The novel teaches us that standing against cruelty, even when it is dangerous, is a moral imperative. Amir's confrontation with Asef is both a literal and symbolic battle against evil, showing that true bravery involves facing the darkness inside and outside ourselves. As we reflect on the story, it is clear that The Kite Runner is more than just a tale of friendship and family. It is a meditation on human resilience, moral responsibility, and the transformative power of love. The novel leaves readers with a profound sense of the complexities of life, that happiness and suffering coexist, that courage and fear often share the same space, and that redemption is an ongoing journey rather than a final destination. So as we finish this emotional journey together, I want to leave you with a thought. Life will inevitably bring moments where we are confronted with our own failures, fears, and regrets. But just like Amir, we have the power to act, to seek redemption, and to create a better future through love, courage, and empathy. It is never too late to make amends, to stand up for what is right, and to care for those who need us most. Thank you so much for staying with me through this heartfelt exploration of The Kite Runner. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Amir and Hassan's story and want more emotional storytelling and book journeys, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Every story we share here is a chance to reflect, feel, and learn something meaningful about life, and I can't wait to take you on the next journey. Until next time, remember, life is fragile, redemption is possible, and kindness always matters.